This year, AIA North Carolina is pleased to present the Stephen D. Schuster Legacy Award to David Gall, AIA, from Winston-Salem.
My father exemplifies a life of service. Throughout his career, he has always sought out projects that benefited the community. I think this is one of the reasons why he found his niche designing historic preservation projects. He sees the role these places hold in their communities as uniting spaces that tie together generations and the literal centers of their communities.
Well, I had the pleasure of meeting David Gall almost 20 years ago when we embarked upon the Hamlet Passenger Depot project. David visited the community, dropped in City Hall, and just started a conversation.
Whenever confronted by groups looking to preserve buildings, many of whom are often financially strapped, he always has found a way to offer free or discounted services in exchange for the community's commitment, allowing them to leverage his services to get the job done.
People got beyond just necessarily seeing the old building transformed into a new life or rebirth of a railroading sleepy community, and realized that as much as our history was important to us as a city, it can also bring us into the future.
Well, I mean, he would call, meetings for the people in the neighborhood. And I think he even probably went door to door sometimes because people wouldn't come or people didn't come. And so he did a lot to get them involved in taking back their neighborhood.
As a frequent board member, commissioner, and advocate on numerous committees, he could be the lone dissenting voice that allowed a building to survive the winds of change. At times, this allowed interest in a building to come full circle, as the time gained meant an end use or buyer could be found, where others couldn't see potential he could.
He brought them together in groups, and it, I think, really helped neighbors get to know each other. If you don't know the person beside you, don't really care. But then when you get to know them, you're like, oh, that's Fred. And it takes on a new meaning. So he kind of brought that friendliness and that neighborhoodness to that community.
As a result of working with David Gall, I see buildings as a symbol of life, sometimes of days gone by or futures to come. And what the buildings mean to a community and what they mean to the profession, and how ultimately buildings can impact the community.
Thank you, Dad, for leading by example. You've touched so many and your impact is exponential, crossing generations in me and in others.
So to David Gall, I thank you for not only giving me an appreciation for the craft, the work, the hidden jewel and the hidden gem that oftentimes you don't see when you look at a physical structure. But the most important thing that I am grateful for is a friendship.
I'm grateful to the awards committee for considering me for the Steve Schuster Legacy Award. I had the great pleasure of meeting Steve Schuster a number of years ago when we collaborated on a project at the old train station in Southern Pines. I found Steve to be very personable, a consummate professional, and because we both appreciated historic preservation, we had a great affinity. I think Steve's longstanding commitment and contributions and service to architecture in North Carolina and to his community are aspirations to which all architects can reach for in North Carolina. I have practiced for 42 years and been very grateful for all the help I've had in the 42 years to support my professional services as well as my volunteer services. I'm very grateful to my colleagues, contractors, consultants, clients, neighbors, and friends, to all of my children, and to my dear wife, Vicki. I'd like to say that there's plenty of work to do out there in North Carolina, and I want to encourage all of my colleagues, architects and intern architects, to volunteer for valuable causes in their communities. And we should all help to build not only the architecture of buildings, but the architecture of citizenship. I am very grateful and humbled to receive the Steve Schuster Legacy Award. Thank you.